So basically, just give me to start out with your take on this idea of delaying the election. It's supposed to be held within 90 days. It might be months and months after that. What's your take on that?
The Democrats in Congress are using the fact that they cannot access the Department of Education as they're saying that Trump is upending the rule of law and have no respect for process. But this is just an excuse for Democrats in New York, from Hochul to Hakeem Jeffries to Chuck Schumer, to seize power. Let me be clear. They're not trying to do this for 3 or 4 months. They're trying to take this all the way to November. The Speaker of the House, Hastings, is got a mandate from Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader of the House, to make this happen. They want to do everything they can to give him a slither of a chance to overturn in the House, that he actually thinks he has the possibility of Democrats overturning and he becoming the Speaker of the House. Hochul's agenda is the fact that she does not want to face Mike Lawler in 2026. And she thinks that with that vacancy of not fulfilling the seat of Stefanik, that he would have to take votes with Trump in Congress that could come back to hurt him within the next 2 years. It sort of aligns, cripples him as a candidate, makes him even more flawed. But what you have to understand here is that we're not just talking about officials here. We're talking about assemblymen and senators, legislators in New York who are elected officials who are supposed to uphold the law because they have the power to stop this, but they are being pressured by the Speaker of the House, not the majority whip, who normally rounds up the vote, but the Speaker of the House, because of his commitment to Hakeem Jeffries, who was once a part of this body as a legislature in New York, to make sure that they delay this at least until November, to give them the possibility of taking the House and to make Mike Lawler more of a Floyd candidate. And what do they do this at the expense of? Disenfranchising almost 800,000 voters in New York. This is not democracy. This is not representative government. This is the ultimate anti-democratic maneuver that you've seen with the New York legislature in a long time, if they allow this to pass.
How important is it for people to have a representative in DC for these months, to have someone there voicing their concerns on Capitol Hill?
Well, listen, no other member of Congress can advocate for them. They're going to advocate for their constituency, no matter what those issues are. They don't have a voice in Congress. And the governor and Hakeem Jeffries are saying that they're doing this to save money. That is a joke. Let's keep in mind that you guys passed public finance law within the last year. What does that do? The public pays for their campaigns, their advertising, their lobbyists. Taxpayers are paying for these elected officials to run their campaigns at the taxpayers' expense. And you're telling me that it's going to save taxpayers money? They're footing the bill in the first place. This is just another ruse to make sure that Democrats have more power to make sure that 800,000 voters in New York are disenfranchised.
I think the argument is that it would save the local boards of election money, that having another election on top of the primary and the general is just more expense for local counties to have to take on their backs.
That is absolutely, there's not even a shred of truth to that. The law is the law, and legislatures should respect the rule of law. The rule of law tells them that they have 90 days to have a special election for Stefanik's replacement. They're trying to move that not to several months, but to November. Are you telling me they're going to try to save money? It tells me if you're trying to move this, your end goal is to move this to November. No, there's something that's more sinister that's going on. That has nothing to do with the will of the people.
They also argue, actually, right in the language of the bill, it argues, or they cite voter fatigue and confusion with too many elections in 1 year. You buying that?
The only thing that voters are fatigued with are the policies of many Democrats in that state. Obviously, a lot of New York turned red in this most recent election, as well as other states that are normally blue. The Democrats should be very concerned how this will vote if the voters decided in the next few years, but they don't care. They feel that they can find a way to make up for this or continue to manipulate voters and deceive them. But voters are well aware. We've awakened a sleeping giant, and voters will pay. They will pay a price in the next election for this. Voters will just not tolerate this enfranchisement of voters. Almost 800,000 people will not have a voice because of this political maneuver, which they're voting on.
And that leads to my next question. It seems apparent to almost everybody in both parties that Democrats in large part lost in November because they lost, if you will, the read on the American people. They lost the read on the people in their own party, especially the moderate end of their party. Is this another sign of that? The Democrats aren't reading the population correctly?
It is their air of arrogance. It is their air of conceit. It's their air of not putting the voters first. The voters spoke. The voters spoke all across the country, and the popular vote and the electoral vote. And you can see how things are beginning to shift in New York. Let's remember, um, the governor Hochul is from the western part of the state. I mean, she was a two-term congressman, but she lost. She lost because she decided to down the sword for Obamacare. I mean, you would think her more than anyone else who's a former legislature would have learned from this, but no, in their arrogance, what they're telling you, they really don't care about the will of the people. All they care about is more power, and more power.
There's also talk, I'm going to keep reading some of the Democratic points to see if any of them strike a chord with you, as maybe there's some truth to it. There's also talk that from the Democrats that a longer election season favors the common man or woman, the citizen legislator, that they have a better shot of campaigning and getting their message out there if the campaign season is longer as compared to a candidate who's already in the state legislature, for instance, who's got name recognition. Do you buy that at all? Do you see any merit to that?
Listen, the presidential campaign season was long
Yes.
and long and long. And what did the voters do? In a shocking way, gave Donald Trump another 4 years to complete what he started in 2016. What did the voters do? They denounced sanctuary cities. They denounced the economy, where they feel as though that foreigners are coming here to fleece on their system. They denounced the criminality in New York, not just for illegal migrants, but what you're seeing on the subway system, where New Yorkers don't feel safe anymore. They denounced what they saw as this invasion on the border. And all the policies, I thought the Democrats were representative of the common man, of the everyday man. The everyday man, the normal voters that they have, normally Black men, Latinos, women, they voted for the Republicans. So what are they talking about when they say they speak for the common man and this delay is going to only empower them? Empower them to further disenfranchise them and to totally obliterate them in the next elections? Is that what they want? They don't want to hear, because they want to believe that they did not hear the message that most Americans heard, and they're going to have to learn the hard way.
So what happens next in your mind? If this does indeed pass, it might pass by the time this interview airs. What are the options for Republicans to fight back on this? Some are calling for a RICO investigation from the U.S. Attorney General. What do you see as the options?
Well, I do think that the Department of Justice will launch an investigation, but I think this is more of an indictment, not of Hochul, not of Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. It is more of the legislature in New York. Who has the backbone? Who has the courage to go against what you realize is the politicization of the process and stand up for the people who, in numbers of 800,000, will be disenfranchised if the legislature vote this into law?
So you're hoping somebody, I mean,
Backbone.
yeah.
Yes. Anybody with backbone, courage, principle will stand up. That's what this country needs right now.
Also, some might argue too, going back to the Democratic talking points, that so much of the work done by a congressional office is done by the people in the office, by the staffers, by those people who have their fingers in the pulse of the bills and are taking the calls from constituents. Is that a fair argument at all, that the office can keep on running even without an actual congressperson?
Every office needs a leader. That's like sending troops off in the battle without their general. That's like leaving kids at home over a period of time without their parents. Everyone needs leadership. It inspires them. They have the experience. They have the connections. If there's a problem to get things done, staffers cannot resolve issues of people that are in need, that put that elected official in office, like that person in charge. It's just no matter how you spin it, every office needs a general to lead, to organize, and be the person that the constituency can look to for leadership and for deliverables.
Okay, and just to put a bow on it and wrap it up, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I want to make sure that I'm summarizing you correctly, you think that in the long run, well, in the short run, obviously, if there is no congressperson, it hurts the Republican majority in the House. But you think in the long run, this is going to hurt the Democrats more, right?
Not only the Democrats, but it's going to help hurt the people who will not have a member of Congress representing them, particularly in Congress in these very sensitive times where so many things are changing, so many things are going on that needs to be explained, how it's going to be impacted, how they're going to be impacted, and how that person is there fighting for them, because you know this person is going to be a conservative. No matter how long they delay this is a red district, okay? It's not going to change. That person would have the ear of the White House, would have the ear of the Republican Congress, which has a trifecta, and could deliver the goods to that district. That's exactly what, that's the price. The price that's being paid is by the constituency themselves.
That's a great place to leave it, Armstrong. Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you giving us your
My
time. I know
pleasure.
it's early for you, so thank you.
Oh,